Good morning to all. I'm Harlequin. This is Bevan. And I have a son named Tristan who is not here right now. He's currently at my mother's. He spends every other weekend at grandma's. So it's just me and Bevan for right now. I am not an autism specialist, nor am I a medical professional. What I am is a single parent who has a son who has ASD and has the entire world in front of him. Sorry, air conditioner sound. So what I am is a single parent who has a son who has ASD and has the entire world in front of him. So what today's video is going to be is it's going to be a list of people, of famous people who have been diagnosed with ASD or who is highly suspected to have ASD. Now, again, remember, I'm not a medical professional or an autism specialist, so the information I have are from articles I've read, and so it's not like I've seen their diagnosis or anything of the sort. So please don't hold what I say here as factual. It's just what I've read from articles. Some have verbally confirmed that they've been diagnosed with ASD, and some there's just no way of knowing because of the time frame, because they're way before the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder was a thing. So here is the list. I apologize if I seem distracted today. One of the neighbors in this apartment building, there has been some issues in that person's apartment, and it's in the apartment that's right next door. So if you hear anything yelling or a loud bang or anything, not like a gunshot bang, but like furniture being moved around type bang or anything, that's what it is. But we're always safe here in our little bubble of our apartment. So anyway, so the list. Dan Aykroyd. He has confirmed that he has ASD. Albert Einstein. Now there's no way to know for sure that he had ASD, but there's a lot of people who have speculated that he does have ASD. Daryl Hannah, Anthony Hopkins, Heather Kamik. I apologize if I mispronounce any names. Tim Burton. I've actually wondered a lot about Tim Burton. There's been a lot of speculation that Tim Burton has autism. I don't believe he's actually been diagnosed with autism, but his longtime partner, Helena Bonham Carter, she does believe for a fact that he has autism. Henry Cavendish, who is a scientist. Charles Darwin. Emily Dickinson. She was believed to have autism, but of course, in that time frame, autism wasn't a thing. Bobby Fischer. Now, I don't believe he was diagnosed with autism, but being a self-proclaimed chess connoisseur myself, I've done quite a bit of research on Bobby Fischer and knowing a bit about autism, but not being an autism specialist. I'd have to say, yeah, I absolutely think Bobby Fischer had ASD. Bill Gates, same thing. I don't believe he's been diagnosed, but there's been a lot of speculation, including myself, that thinks that he does have ASD. Barbara McClintock, I've actually never heard of her. She's a scientist and cytogenicist. Michelangelo, Sir Isaac Newton, Jerry Seinfeld. He recognizes himself as having ASD, and I believe he has been diagnosed with ASD. But again, I've not seen his diagnosis, so I don't know for sure. Satoshi Tajiri. Now, Satoshi Tajiri, this is close to my heart because it's close to Tristan's heart. He is the creator and inventor of Pokemon, and he was diagnosed with ASD, what used to be called Asperger's syndrome. And another fun fact, because I was reading articles about this a while back when I first found out and told Tristan that he has ASD, is that some of the Pokemon that he invented, not all of them, but some of the Pokemon are created and have ASD. Like Pikachu has ASD. Charizard has ASD. Gengar has ASD. And my personal favorite Pokemon, Mimikyu, has ASD. Those are just some examples. I know that there are more, but not all of them. And I also read an article just this morning that Ash has ASD as well. Now, I never knew that. I don't really know that much about Pokemon, aside from the fact that they exist. But yeah, that's just a fun fact. And again, I've not seen any diagnosis or anything like that. I'm just going based on articles I've read about all of this. Again, not being a medical professional, not seeing any actual diagnosis on paper, and not being an autism specialist. So please don't hold everything as fact. Let's see. Where was I? Nikola Tesla was believed to have autism. Elon Musk has announced publicly that he is on the autism spectrum. Now, he announced that when he was hosting at Saturday Night Live, SNL. So, I don't know if he was trying to make a joke that really wasn't funny, or if he was actually being serious, but it's commonly believed that he was actually being serious. But come on, it's SNL. Okay. Clay Marzo, who's a professional surfer. I have absolutely no idea about him at all. Dr. Vernon Smith, who's a professor. Here's some more people. Now, I've been giving you a list of names with just a tiny bit of information on them. But these names are just a list of names. They don't have any information, so I can't confirm or deny or call BS or anything like that on these particular lists. So Leonardo da Vinci, yeah, I can believe that Leonardo da Vinci had autism. Vincent van Gogh. Ooh, now I think Vincent van Gogh had more of a mental illness, not ASD, but I don't know. Steven Spielberg. I found that interesting that he might have ASD. I never would have thought that. Same with Alfred Hitchcock. He is believed to have ASD. Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Ludwig von Beethoven. Fun fact, I didn't know until I read that article that Beethoven's first name was Ludwig. I literally thought for years that Beethoven was his first name. I have no idea why, but that in my mind it just worked, which doesn't really make sense because I know Mozart is Mozart's last name and his first name is Wolfgang. So I have no idea why I thought Beethoven was his first name. Excuse me, please. Apologies. Again, being unedited and everything. Fun fact, and absolutely no one knows this except for Tristan's biological mother. I suggested as one of the options for Tristan's first name to be Beethoven, but his biological mom said no. Alright, so here we go with more. Let's see. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, speak of the devil, depending on which devil you're talking about. Bob Dylan. Now, me and my mom have had quite a few debates about this because Bob Dylan is one of my mom's absolute favorite artists. Now, I can't point it out because I couldn't point it out to her, and this was a few years back, but I swear I did read an article where he said that he was actually diagnosed with ASD. I can't remember where I read that, but I swear I read that somewhere. But he's on this list. James Taylor. John Denver. I never would have thought of him. Charles Darwin. Carl Jung. Jung. He's a psychiatrist and psychotherapist. I don't know anything about him. Lionel Messi, who's a football player. I don't really know anything about him. Samuel Clemens, George Orwell, Jane Austen, Charles Schultz. I believe that he was actually diagnosed with ASD, but he was from what I understand, he was diagnosed later in his life. Let's see. Now, people who I actually happen to know that's all for the articles that I found, but people who have actually know for a fact that have been diagnosed or have been diagnosed after the fact of their passing, so speculated to have ASD. I know Frida Kahlo is widely believed to have ASD. One of my favorite artists, Gary Newman, he has ASD. He's publicly said so and publicly acknowledges that all the time, like it's no big deal. Which is the point of this video, that having ASD is not a big deal. It's just that your brain and mannerisms and social etiquette and social boundaries are quite different, or a little different, or semi-different. All these lists of famous people, again, Gary Newman being one of my absolute favorite artists, Frida Kahlo, who is an amazing artist, Um, of course, Mozart, Beethoven, loving classical music as I do. It's my absolute favorite genre of music, believe it or not, with all the tattoos and everything. And, way back in the day with my, gothic persona. Um, I just want to say that autism, even though it's technically considered a disability, does not disable you. I've asked one of Tristan's therapists, and I was actually going to bring this up when I interviewed her, but what the heck, I'll bring it up now. One of the main reasons that ASD is actually considered a disability, and one of the reasons why they decided to consider it a disability, is because of social circumstances and difficulty with boundaries and social interactions, so those with ASD can get services. But just because it's considered a disability does not in any way mean that you're disabled. I actually happen to have quite a few acquaintances who have actual really good professions who have ASD. I actually have an acquaintance who's an accomplished attorney who has ASD. I happen to be acquainted with someone whose son is technically diagnosed with ASD, but he's kind of keeping it quiet because he's in the military. So I'm not going to name drop or anything like that with that. But yeah, the main point of this video is that those who have ASD doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them and they're not alone. Take a look, or listen rather, of all the names on that list. Those who have ASD can do anything. Even Tristan. I'm going to add Tristan to this list too, because Tristan is so much smarter academically than I am. It's absolutely uncanny. He can finish a science assignment in a matter of minutes and get 100% on it. And don't get me started on his musical aptitude. And with math, interesting thing with Tristan and math is, give him a math problem that it takes me a good couple minutes to work out, he has the answer just like that. But if you ask him to figure out how he got to that answer, how he got from point A to point B to the answer C, that's when he'll really struggle. But give him a math problem and he'll just answer it with the correct answer, but he doesn't know how to get there. So I'm just saying, even with Tristan, academically, he's really smart. You know who Tristan kind of reminds me of? And I just thought of this, and I'm going to have to tell Tristan because Tristan might think it's hilarious. Do you know that show, Young Sheldon? I think that's like a prequel show to Big Bang Theory, but I'm not sure. But Tristan absolutely reminds me of Sheldon on that show, which is interesting because I just read an article today that the character of Sheldon, the producers of that show, did not write that character as having ASD. There's another term of social anxiety and stuff like that that he has, but he doesn't have ASD. Same thing with that character on Star Trek Discovery, I believe. I believe the character is Tilly. I had thought ever since like I first saw that show up until I read an article that says it's not the case, that Tilly on that show had ASD. But then I read an article of an interview with the actor who played Tilly on the show, that it was never discussed that that would be the case. So those last two things are just a couple of tidbits that I wanted to throw out there, just in all honesty, because I was thinking out loud. Didn't really have anything to do with the context of this video per se, but again, I was just thinking out loud and the camera just happened to be on. So that's it with this video. Those who have ASD, you're not alone. You can accomplish anything. In fact, in all honesty, probably accomplish far more than I have in my meager life. So we're at 20 minutes and 55 seconds, 56, 57, 58, 59, 21 minutes. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And then everything else that Tristan would say. Tristan will not be here in tomorrow's video, if there is a video tomorrow. He will be getting here tomorrow evening. And by that time, the time he gets here, it'll probably be too late for a video. So he'll very likely be in Monday's video. So with that, I'm going to end this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.